Nan McKay and Associates, Inc. has produced this video for the purpose of introducing new public housing residents to a public housing program. Use of this video is limited to authorized users who have purchased the video. Welcome to the Housing Choice Voucher Program from Nan McKay and Associates, Inc. Unauthorized use is subject to civil and criminal penalties.
Public housing authorities, or PHAs, own and manage public housing nationwide. The housing, which can be garden walk-up apartments, high-rises, duplexes, and/or single-family homes, is owned by the Housing Authority and regulated by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. The purpose of public housing is to provide housing that is decent, safe, sanitary, and in good repair to low-income families. The Housing Authority must follow HUD regulations when managing the public housing program. Many regulations are required by law. This video is to help you understand what living in public housing will be like and the ways public housing may be different than renting in the open market. It is important to know that public housing assistance is tied to the dwelling unit you'll be living in. That means that if you decide to move out of public housing, the assistance won't follow you. The Housing Authority does not discriminate based on race, color, national origin, sex, age, religion, disability or handicap, or familial status. You are protected from discrimination under federal laws. If you believe you have received different or unfair treatment because you are a member of any of the protected classes listed, you have the right to file a complaint with HUD's Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity. Every housing authority is required to display fair housing posters and provide information on how to file a complaint. When you are offered and accept a particular dwelling unit, the lease-up process begins. This includes inspection of the unit, payment of the initial rent and security deposit, and the signing of the lease. Your housing authority representative will explain the lease to you. The lease is the contract between you and your family who will live with you and the housing authority. The lease lists the things you agreed to do and not do as a resident, as well as the things the housing authority agrees to do. There are some violations of the lease that require the housing authority to begin the lease termination and eviction process. There are other violations that, if serious or chronic, allow the housing authority to terminate the lease. That's why it is very important for you to understand both your obligations and the housing authority's obligations under the lease. Let's look at a few of your obligations under the lease more closely. One of your most important obligations is to pay your rent on time. The housing authority will tell you how much rent to pay. When you move into public housing and every year at your re-examination, you will be given a choice between paying a rent based on your income, called income-based rent, or a flat rent amount that represents what your dwelling unit could rent for in the open market. The housing authority will provide you with the amount of rent under each option so that you can make the best choice for your family. If you choose to pay an income-based rent, you'll need to notify the housing authority when family income changes. Your housing authority representative will explain how and when these changes must be reported. Only authorized persons are allowed to live in your home. You aren't allowed to rent out any part of your home to boarders or lodgers. In addition, the housing authority has a limit on how long guests can stay with you. This is an important policy you agree to abide by when you sign the lease. If you want to move someone into your unit, you must notify the housing authority first. The PHA will need to do a criminal background check and approve the additional family member. If your family size changes for any reason, such as the birth of a child or a family member moves out, you need to notify the housing authority in these cases as well. You must get the housing authority's authorization before you have an animal or pet. The Housing Authority has a written pet policy that will be important for you to understand. You may not make any alterations to your home or the property without permission from the Housing Authority. When you sign the lease, you agree to be careful to prevent fires or safety hazards in your home and on the premises. If there is a dangerous or life-threatening situation or condition, notify emergency numbers first and then call the Housing Authority. The Housing Authority will tell you how to contact them if there is an after-hours emergency. It's very important to keep this information by your phone. Let the Housing Authority know if there is any repair needed to your home. It's better to fix something early and prevent further damage from occurring. In public housing, just like anywhere else, you need to conduct yourself in a neighborly manner and show respect to other residents. This means you are also responsible for the behavior of guests and visitors. You must make sure that no household member or guest engages in any drug-related criminal activity on or off the premises, or any criminal activity that threatens the health, safety, or right to peaceful enjoyment of the premises by other residents. Congress passed a law requiring all adult public housing residents, unless they are exempt under the law, to participate in community service. This is a provision of your lease. Community service is defined as volunteer work or participation in an economic self-sufficiency activity at least 8 hours per month. Community service can help you gain skills, link up to resources in your community, and get ready for work. Adult residents who are exempt from the community service requirement are adults 62 years of age or older, adults with a disability that are unable to comply with community service requirements due to their disability or a caretaker of such a person, adults that are working a certain number of hours per week, and adults that are receiving welfare assistance and are in compliance with or exempted from welfare work requirements. Talk to your Housing Authority representative if you think you may be exempt from the community service requirement. For those family members who must meet the community service requirement, there are many terrific volunteer opportunities and self-sufficiency activities. Ask your Housing Authority representative about them. The Housing Authority is required to do a thorough inspection every year of your home, the building exterior, the building systems, and the site. In addition, there may be a number of times throughout the year that HUD or Housing Authority staff will need to come in your unit to inspect or make repairs. You will be given written notice at least 48 hours in advance of any HUD or Housing Authority representative entering your home, unless there is cause to believe an emergency is happening. In that case, Housing Authority staff will enter to take care of the emergency, and if no one is home, a notice stating the date and time of entry and the reason for the entry will be left in the unit. The purpose of the annual inspection is to make sure the unit is safe, sanitary, and in good repair. The Housing Authority will inspect carefully to make sure that everything works and is in good condition. If there is damage beyond normal wear and tear caused by anyone in your household or a guest, you will be charged for the damage. All areas inside and outside of the unit must be uncluttered and hazard-free. Trash should be properly contained and stored outside. Heating and air conditioning units and all appliances should be free of grease and dust. All appliances, smoke detectors, and plumbing must work. This includes sinks, toilets, bathtubs, and showers. All storage areas, including closets, cupboards, and pantries, need to be clean and contain no flammables. The outside and yard areas should be free of trash and debris. This also means no abandoned cars or graffiti, and nothing should block access to the unit. It is your responsibility to keep your yard, outside walls, porches, sidewalks, and steps clean and free of hazards. Especially important is to clean up food and trash after meals. If you can't wash the dishes right away, rinse them before you stack them. Also, be sure to clean your stove and refrigerator often. In addition to annual inspections, another important annual activity is the re-examination of family income and composition. The type of rent you are paying will impact the type of re-examination the PHA will conduct. If you choose to pay income-based rent, you will be required to provide current and accurate information about all family members and the income of each member. This may include providing documents such as pay stubs, award letters, bank statements, and income tax forms. The Housing Authority will then verify the information you provide and compared to income information the PHA obtains through state and federal databases. The information gathered will then be used to determine the amount of rent you will pay. It sounds like a lot of paperwork, but because public housing is funded by taxpayer dollars, the rent charged to each family must be correct. If you choose to pay flat rent, your annual reexamination will likely be limited to a review of your family composition, where you'll be asked to certify who is living in the home with you. This is because housing authorities are only required to review the income of families paying flat rent every 3 years. When you sign your lease, you agree to transfer to another unit of the appropriate size and type, when available, if your current home is no longer suitable for your family. The housing authority may require you to transfer to a smaller dwelling if family members have moved out, or a larger dwelling if your unit has become overcrowded. Or the housing authority may have to transfer you because your current unit is scheduled for construction, modernization, or even will be torn down. These are some examples of mandatory transfers. You can be sure that the housing authority won't require you to transfer until an appropriate dwelling unit is available for you. Also, you have the right to appeal this and any other action the housing authority takes that you don't believe is fair. We'll talk more about your grievance rights a bit later. There may also be reasons that your family wants to move to a different dwelling unit. You may need to move to another type of dwelling for medical reasons. Your family size may change and you simply would like a larger home. Or you may feel you need to move to another part of town in order to be closer to work or doctors. These are transfers that you request. The housing authority has a transfer policy that can lead you through this process. You can contact your housing authority representative anytime you believe you need to transfer to another dwelling unit. There are situations where serious or repeated lease violations may require the housing authority to terminate your lease, and your family would have to move out of public housing through the eviction process. The housing authority is required to notify you in writing if they intend to terminate your lease and inform you which lease provision or provisions they believe you have violated. Examples of activities that could lead to eviction include failure to make rent payments, drug-related and other criminal activity, and providing false income information. You can appeal any action or failure to act on the part of the housing authority that adversely affects you. The purpose of the grievance process is to provide you with a means to settle an issue without having to go to court. In filing a grievance, you will need to follow the housing authority's grievance policy. When you sign the lease, you will receive a copy of this policy, and your housing authority representative can answer any questions you have. If you are served a lease termination notice, under most circumstances, you will be able to appeal the authority's decision through the housing authority's grievance policy, and in all cases, you will be able to appeal it in a court or administrative hearing. If you or anyone in your family is a person with a disability, and you are having trouble either getting in and out of or around your home, or you need some flexibility in a housing authority service or policy in order to have the same opportunity as that afforded to others, you have the right to ask for a reasonable accommodation. There must be a disability-related need for the accommodation, and the request must be reasonable, as determined by the PHA. Requesting a ramp to allow access in and out of the unit because someone in your family uses a wheelchair is just one example of a reasonable accommodation request. The housing authority has a process to receive and evaluate requests for a reasonable accommodation. Confidentiality will be protected. The housing authority will ask only enough questions about your disability to verify that there is a limitation caused by the disability and that the request would relieve the limitation. Living in public housing and paying an affordable rent gives you the perfect chance to turn your energies towards your career goals. If you've never worked, don't give up. There are many ways to start. We already talked about community service, which is one way to start building important skills. Another great resource is the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, which your housing authority may offer to public housing residents. This program coordinates with resources in the community that help you on your road to economic stability. Ask your housing representative about the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. Did you know that there are situations where you can have an increase in your earned income without it affecting your rent? The Housing Authority is required to offer this work incentive, called the Earned Income Disallowance, to qualified families. Qualified families may include residents that have been receiving welfare assistance, are participating in economic self-sufficiency or job training programs, or have been unemployed for 1 or more years. Simply put, you can go to work and it won't affect your rent until you get stabilized in work. Ask your Housing Authority representative if you think you may qualify for this disallowance. If you are paying for child care while working, actively looking for work, or furthering your education, another benefit you may be eligible for is a child care expense deduction. Ask your Housing Authority representative more about the child care deduction if you believe you may qualify. Usually when you first start working, your choices may be limited and the wages may be low. These first jobs are hard, but you will learn a lot, believe it or not. In addition to learning new skills, you'll learn a lot about the workplace and about yourself. Getting along in the workplace and actively learning will prepare you to get another, better job. That's the goal, to get a job and then get a better job, with higher wages, more benefits, and doing work you enjoy. Learning on the job you already have is important. If you do well and there are promotional opportunities, this may be a good way to a better job, but you may need additional knowledge, skills, and abilities to get a better job. Going to school, getting into a training program, and studying on your own are some ways to get new skills. There are free career centers in many communities that can help you explore career options, identify what you're best suited for, and teach you how to prepare for the career you want. Welcome to your new home. We hope this video has helped welcome you to public housing. The Housing Authority wants to hear from you. If you have any questions now or anytime, always feel free to contact your Housing Authority representative.
Nan McKay & Associates has produced this video to be used in informing clients of housekeeping basics. Use of this video is limited to authorized users who have purchased the video Nan McKay & Associates Housekeeping Basics from Nan McKay & Associates. Unauthorized use is subject to civil and criminal penalties. We are committed to ensuring full access to participation. If you need an accommodation for a disability in order to have full access to our services, please let us know. When you participate in an assisted housing program through your public housing agency, your home is inspected annually to determine if it's maintained in an acceptable condition. While the inspection focuses on health and safety requirements, how well you maintain your home on an ongoing basis definitely makes a difference in the overall condition. This video will provide you with information on ways to maintain your home and provide you with many useful housekeeping tips, most of which are very simple to follow. Some of these ideas are preventative, designed to save you time and trouble in the long run. We will start by looking at your unit room by room. Then we will look at some general cleaning needs such as dusting, floors, and windows. Let's begin with the first area seen in your home, the actual entry area. To prevent dirt or mud from being tracked inside, it is a good idea to have a doormat immediately outside your front door. A small entryway rug will also help keep this area clean. Some cleaning experts take this a step further, recommending that family members and guests remove their shoes upon entry. Most dirt is tracked in from our shoes, so this suggestion may work for you and your family. Next, let's take a look at one of the least favorite rooms to keep clean, the kitchen. The first rule is to make sure that all foods are stored properly. Use containers with covers that seal tightly to store foods such as cereal, flour, sugar, and rice. This will help avoid attracting ants and other insects. It really is much easier to take steps to avoid insects than it is to get rid of the insects once they are present. Store your dishes and pots and pans in the appropriate cupboards and cabinets. Just eliminating some of this potential clutter goes a long way towards a clean kitchen and helps ensure you have adequate working space for meal preparation. If one is not provided in your kitchen, invest in a good cutting board. There are some very inexpensive acrylic cutting surfaces available, and it is important to protect your countertops. Make sure you thoroughly clean the cutting board after use to avoid food contamination from bacteria and other foodborne illnesses. You may want to use a brush to clean cuts and grooves in the cutting board surface. Protecting your countertops also means not setting hot items directly on the surface. Using a hot pad or other type of protection will prevent damage from burns and scratches. Nobody enjoys washing dishes, but this job is made much easier by washing dishes as soon as possible after meal preparation. This way, food does not have the chance to dry and firmly adhere to the plates and bowls. If time doesn't allow you to fully wash the dishes, be sure to rinse them immediately. The seconds it will take right after use will save you many minutes later. Wash the dishes before the pots and pans using warm water, dish soap, and a clean cloth or sponge. After washing, rinse the dishes in warm water and dry using a commercial rack. If you don't have a rack, use a clean towel. If you have a dishwasher, run it before you go to bed and unload it first thing in the morning. Try to end each day with a clean, empty kitchen sink. Don't overlook the importance of taking care of your cleaning materials. If you have a microwave, microwaving your sponge or dishcloth for 20 seconds will kill any bacteria present. But be very careful. The cloth or sponge will be extremely hot, so allow plenty of time for cooling before using. Always clean all countertops in the stove and sink after cooking. Warm, soapy water works well when wiping down the outside of the oven and stove, but there are also many good cleansers available in stores. Although you may not need to clean these areas after each time you cook, do look over knobs, burners, drip pan areas, oven racks, and broiler pans to see if cleaning is needed. If you have a garbage disposal, there are steps that you can take to eliminate odors as well as any accumulated debris that may be causing the odors. Occasionally running small lemon or lime pieces through the garbage disposal will help leave a clean, fresh smell. Another helpful hint is to sprinkle a couple of teaspoons of baking soda down the drain, add in 2 ice cubes, and turn on the disposal. While the disposal is running, run hot water for a few minutes. Sweep the kitchen floor regularly and mop it weekly with warm water and a household cleanser. Wiping down cabinets and appliances and washing the dish rack should also be done on a weekly basis, along with wiping down switch plates and the inside of the garbage can. At least 4 times a year, empty and scrub down the inside of the refrigerator. While you are doing this, inspect the labels of jars and bottles and dispose of anything that has passed the expiration date. Make sure you clean around the door seal as well. This is also a good time to empty and clean the inside of utensil drawers and to clean the stove hood filter. Here's a little tip. Dry baking soda makes a great chrome cleaner. When disposing of garbage, plastic kitchen bags are effective. Using a garbage can with a lid will help reduce odors and spills. Empty your garbage when full or when there is excess food debris. Now let's move to the room that is everyone's least favorite, the bathroom. The bathroom should be cleaned weekly and even more frequently if it gets heavy use from a large family. Fortunately, most bathrooms are made of materials that are easy to keep clean. Tile and porcelain surfaces are stain resistant if dirt and scum are not allowed to build up on them. Try to make it a firm rule in your home to rinse out the tub or shower stall immediately after use. Spray water from the shower head on all interior surfaces, then lather soap onto a damp sponge, swish it around the tub or stall, and rinse. keep mildew from taking hold by also wiping shower walls with a towel after each shower. If the bathroom has shower doors, you can also discourage mildew growth by leaving the shower doors open slightly to allow air to circulate. Hard water deposits can be removed from shower enclosures by using a solution of white vinegar and water, and cleaning glass shower doors with a sponge dipped in white vinegar will leave them sparkling. When you clean the bathtub, remove hair from drain traps to prevent clogging. Use a damp sponge and a non-abrasive cleanser to clean the inside of the tub. If there are rust stains, commercial rust removers can be very effective, but use caution. These products contain acid. If you do work with these products, be sure to wear rubber gloves. If bathroom tile needs a thorough cleaning, running the shower water at its hottest temperature will allow steam to loosen the dirt before cleaning. But don't use harsh abrasive powders or steel wool pads to clean tile. If dealing with plastic laminate, use a two-sided scrubbing pad with fiber on one side and a sponge on the other. The fiber side is just abrasive enough to loosen grease and dirt. Turn the scrubber over and use the sponge side to wipe clean. When cleaning the sink and faucet, use a sponge or cloth. Old toothbrushes are often great cleaning tools, and they are especially effective for cleaning those little crevices that make up a faucet. Although there are many commercial products available to clean glass and mirrors, common household items can be very effective. Try this. Pour vinegar into a shallow bowl or pan, then crumple a sheet of newspaper. Dip it in the vinegar and apply to the mirror. Wipe the glass several times with the same newspaper until the mirror is almost dry. Then shine it with a clean, soft cloth or dry newspaper. It is time to address that most dreaded of chores, cleaning the toilet. The good news is that toilet bowls and tanks are usually made of non-porous, easy-to-clean vitreous china. When using commercial cleaning products, be sure to read the label to learn exactly how the product should be used. Watch for products that contain chlorine bleach or ammonia-based products. Never mix products that contain chlorine bleach with ammonia-based products. Always wear rubber gloves when you work with toilet cleaners. To clean your toilet quickly and efficiently, keep a long-handled brush available. Try an overnight cleaning by putting 2 denture cleanser tablets in the toilet and letting them sit overnight. Follow up by scrubbing the toilet the next morning. Make certain you scrub inside the toilet rim as well. And don't forget to clean the outside of the toilet seat, including the base and tank. Again, never mix chlorine bleach products with ammonia-based products. Rust stains under a toilet bowl rim sometimes yield to laundry bleach, but be sure to protect your hands with rubber gloves. Rub off truly stubborn stains with extra fine steel wool or with wet dry sandpaper, available at hardware stores. Periodically clean out the medicine cabinet. Medications should always be kept out of children's reach. Shelves can be easily washed with a sponge and warm soapy water and rinsed with clean water. To avoid rust and/or mildew, it is important to make sure the shelves are completely dry before returning items to the shelves. Mildew can also grow on shower curtains and bath mats. To help, whenever you purchase a new shower curtain, use the old shower curtain as a liner. With the old curtain hanging inside the shower or tub enclosure, the new curtain will stay clean longer. If you need to clean a bath mat that is either rubber or vinyl, simply toss it into the washer with your bath towels. Now that we've dealt with the bathroom, let's move on to the room that is probably the easiest room to get and to keep clean. That is the bedroom. One of the biggest problems to deal with here is dust. So if you are going to shake out or change sheets, do this first rather than last. This way, you won't find yourself dealing with dust twice. Wherever you are dusting, always start at the top and work down. This may include dealing with cobwebs. Depending on how severe the problem is, you can deal with it by using a lightweight broom, a dust rag, or your vacuum cleaner using the brush attachment. For very light cobwebs and for general dust, simply spritz a cloth with dusting spray and make your way around the room in a clockwise circle, working from the outside in. When dusting the bedroom, get under and behind the bed. Dust shelves and wipe down doors with a damp cloth. Here is another little cleaning tip. When you need to wipe down picture frames and lampshades, just slip an old sock over your hand. This makes for a very quick and easy way to dust these items. Save vacuuming or mopping for last. Don't miss those corners and edges. These same dusting and vacuuming guidelines apply to your living room. The living room is probably the first area to accumulate clutter, so this is an area that should be addressed daily. The easiest way is to do your best to deal with the messes as they come. If you have children, try keeping a basket or some other container handy in an easy access, convenient corner for quick and easy toy cleanup. Sort mail right away, disposing of trash and organizing bills. Never leave dirty dishes in any room. Take the time to at least rinse them off in preparation for washing. Make it a habit to dispose of unwanted magazines and newspapers at the same time you are emptying trash. If your home has stairs, make it easy on yourself by keeping a basket with a handle at the foot of the stairs. This way you can use the basket to temporarily store anything that needs to be returned upstairs. Whenever you do go upstairs, you can just pick up the basket and take it along with you. Then, just take a moment to return items to where they belong before the next time you come down the stairs and return the basket to its resting place. Now, what are some easy ways to deal with ongoing cleaning tasks such as windows and laundry? First, keep a little window cleaning kit in an easy-to-grab spot. Try using a cloth or paper towels along with an all-purpose surface cleaner. With this cleaner, you can clean not only the glass, but frames and windowsills all at the same time. Second, remember that you do not have to clean every window at one time. Do you have a favorite television program or two? Try cleaning one window at a time during commercial breaks. The reality is that washing dirty clothes is not all that difficult. It is the folding or ironing and putting away of those clothes that is so time-consuming. Folding clothes is a chore easily done while talking on the telephone or watching TV. Ironing is another great task that can be done during television commercials. Once clothes are folded or ironed, it really does not take long to put the clothes away. If you are responsible for taking care of your yard and the exterior of your home, here are some basic tips. Keep the outside of the home neat and free from litter. You may need to use a heavy-duty broom to hard brush cobwebs from under the eaves. To remove dirt and grime, try a hose with a pistol nozzle that allows you to direct a heavy-duty stream of water exactly where needed. Water your lawn as needed, but be water conscious. During hot weather, it is best to water in the early morning or in the evening. If there is a timed sprinkler system, be sure to turn it off during wet, rainy, or winter weather. During spring and summer, mow the lawn at least every other week, and during other times of the year as needed. During the fall, rake leaves regularly. Not all problems or maintenance needs for the unit are your responsibility, so know who to contact when you note something that needs repair and report any problems right away. If you do not report the item, the problem can worsen. In some cases, you might even be considered at least partially responsible because you did not report the problem. Sometimes it is readily apparent that a repair is needed, but even if you are unsure, report the problem. Just a little time and effort daily will ease the stress of keeping your home clean and in good condition. Follow these guidelines. Maintain a regular schedule. As a result, you can feel worry-free when the housing agency schedules their annual visit to review the condition of your home. Now, relax, settle in, and enjoy your home.
Nan McKay and Associates has produced this video to be used in informing clients of their rights under federal fair housing laws. Use of this video is limited to authorized users who have purchased the video Your Rights Under Fair Housing from Nan McKay and Associates. Unauthorized use is subject to civil and criminal penalties. Your housing authority is committed to making sure that if you have a disability that limits a major life activity, you can get around in your unit and around the property. Your housing authority is also committed to ensuring that you have an equal opportunity to use all of the services it provides. If you need an accommodation for a disability in order to have full access, please let the housing authority know. An accommodation means changing something in a dwelling unit, or making a policy more flexible, or doing something in a different way to give you an equal opportunity to apply for and to live in public or assisted housing. Also, if you need communication assistance because of a visual or hearing impairment, or because of a language barrier, please let your housing authority know. The purpose of this video is to give you an overview of your right to fair housing. We're not lawyers, and this isn't legal advice. We're just providing you with the information you need so that when you're finding a place to live, and even after you move into a unit, you know what your rights are. Keep in mind, though, it's a little bit different everywhere you go, so your housing authority's policies might be slightly different from the ones we discuss here. What is discrimination? It means being treated differently when you didn't ask to be treated differently. Have you ever felt you were being discriminated against because of your age, or because of the religion you practice, or because you're a man or a woman? Have you ever felt it was hard to apply or to live somewhere because of your disability? How about being told you couldn't live somewhere because you have children? Well, the government thinks that all people should have equal access to housing, regardless of their age, religion, gender, disability, color, race, national origin, or family status. If you feel you've been discriminated against for any of these reasons, you should know that there are laws that protect you and allow you to have the same choices in housing that other people have. There are different types of discrimination. Sometimes discrimination is obvious. For example, when somebody says, "I don't want you here because of the color of your skin," or because you're from another country. Other times, discrimination may not be obvious, but it still counts as discrimination. That could even mean advertising. Any advertising you see sending a message that says, "We don't want you here," could be illegal. So if you saw an ad while you were searching for housing that said, "bachelor pad," that could be discrimination based on gender. If you feel pushed into choosing one unit or one neighborhood over another, that's discrimination as well. A landlord should never tell you that you have to live at a certain end of a building because you have children, or that another neighborhood would be better for you because of the language spoken there. That's called steering, and that's against the law. Fair housing laws also protect people with disabilities. If you need a change in the rules or services provided by your housing authority, you may request one. If your housing authority decides the change is reasonable and will remove a barrier to housing caused by your disability, then it may be able to make the change for you. Let's talk about someone who actually requested a change like this. This is Mrs. Smith. She moved into a public housing unit on the second floor in a development without elevators. Then she became disabled and now uses a walker. Now Mrs. Smith has requested to move to a unit on the first floor because it's going to be easier for her to get in and out of her unit. The housing authority will grant Mrs. Smith that transfer. Now let's talk about Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones is in the Housing Choice Voucher, or Section 8 program. Mrs. Jones finds a unit she likes, and she's going to sign the lease with the landlord, but she finds that she needs a ramp to get her motorized scooter in and out of the unit. Mrs. Jones asks the landlord if she can have a ramp constructed, and the landlord allows her to do so. In this case, because she's in the Housing Choice Voucher program rather than the public housing program, Mrs. Jones will need to pay for the ramp herself. These are just two examples of accommodations or changes that a housing authority or a landlord could make or allow to ensure that a person with disabilities has equal access to housing. These changes will each be considered on their own merits, but accommodations aren't just for making physical modifications. They may also involve altering the way your housing authority communicates with you, allowing you to have an assistance animal or a live-in aid, or making other changes in policies or practices. If you have a disability that prevents you from making full use of the services that your housing authority provides, please let the staff know. If there's a connection between the request and your disability, your housing authority can work with you to find an appropriate accommodation. Take Ms. Garcia, for example. Ms. Garcia wants to apply for housing at the Main Street Housing Authority. Ms. Garcia is a person with a hearing impairment, and she asked the housing authority if it could provide a sign language interpreter for her. The Main Street Housing Authority has decided to do that in all of its meetings with her, and it will pay for the interpreter. Your housing authority doesn't just offer communication help for people with disabilities. It also can provide services for people who may have trouble reading, writing, or speaking English. If you need assistance with language, let the staff at your housing authority know what language you speak. If you need translation or interpretation services for an interview or for any of the paperwork you receive, they should be able to provide the services at no cost to you. How many of you have ever felt your landlords or neighbors were discriminating against you because you have children? If you've been charged a higher deposit, moved to a different kind of unit, or even turned away because you have children, that's against the law. The law protects more than just biological children. Foster children, adopted children, and even women who are pregnant are protected too. If you're in the public housing program, your housing authority should treat all families equally. If you're in the Housing Choice Voucher program and you believe a landlord has turned you away or treated your family differently than a family without children, please talk to your housing authority immediately. You may be the victim of discrimination, and discrimination is against the law. You should also be aware of your rights if you are a victim of domestic violence. The Violence Against Women Act protects you from being denied housing or losing your housing just because you're a victim of domestic violence. This law applies to men, women, and children, and its protections extend to victims of dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. If you are a victim of domestic violence, please let the staff at your housing authority know so that they can explain how the law protects you and what you need to do to prove that you are a victim. Kate Nelson is a victim of domestic violence. She has fled from her abuser with her daughter, and she is applying to Oakdale Housing Authority. The staff find out that she has a poor rental history, and they're worried about whether she's going to be a good candidate for their program. If Ms. Nelson can show that her poor rental history is the result of domestic violence, the Housing Authority staff will overlook her history and let her into the program. They won't deny her rental assistance just because of her victim status. Remember, domestic violence laws apply to both women and men. So do sexual harassment laws. Whether you are a man or a woman, you should know that you don't have to put up with sexual harassment just to keep your housing. Sexual harassment can be anything from inappropriate words or touching to pictures that make you feel uncomfortable. If you feel you've been a victim of sexual harassment, please let the Housing Authority know immediately. Someone will help you navigate the situation so that you feel safe. Sexual harassment is illegal, and you will not lose your housing if you report it. According to the law, no one can get back at you for reporting an incident of sexual harassment. In other words, you won't put your housing at risk even if you report sexual harassment against an employee of the Housing Authority or a landlord. The law makes that illegal. Jane Thomas is in the Housing Choice Voucher Program. She was experiencing plumbing problems and called her landlord to help her with the maintenance. The landlord said that in return for the maintenance, he wanted a sexual favor. This is against the law, and if Ms. Thomas reports the incident to local law enforcement and the Housing Authority, the landlord cannot evict her for reporting him. Harassment comes in many forms. It's also against the law for someone to harass you, intimidate you, send you threatening letters, or attack you for living somewhere just because you're a certain race, gender, religion, color, or nationality. That's called a hate crime, and hate crimes are not tolerated in public or assisted housing. If you think that you've been the victim of a hate crime, that someone is threatening you or using force against you because of who you are or where you live, contact the police, then contact your housing authority as soon as possible. Take Ms. Ali, for example. Ms. Ali comes out to her car one morning and sees offensive graffiti painted on it. Ms. Ali has reason to believe that the graffiti is there because of her faith and that her neighbors don't want her living where she lives. This is a hate crime, and Ms. Ali needs to call the police as well as report the incident to her housing authority so that action can be taken against the people who spray painted her car. Ms. Ali has a right under the law to live where she wants to live without harassment. The people we've met in this video may have reasons to file a fair housing complaint against their landlords, their neighbors, or their housing authority. There are different ways to file a complaint. Take the Smith family, for example. If the housing authority incorrectly denies Mrs. Smith's transfer request, even though the request is reasonable and clearly connected to her disability, the Smith family could go to HUD's website at www.hud.gov and file a fair housing complaint there. They could also get a form from the housing authority, fill it out, and mail it in. Or they could call their local fair housing office and file a complaint by phone. Remember, your housing authority must help you file a fair housing complaint with HUD if you feel that you've been discriminated against. So if this happens, don't hesitate to ask for assistance. If you do file a complaint, make sure that the information you provide is accurate. The law states that if you commit fraud or knowingly lie to your housing authority or to HUD, you could face legal consequences or be fined up to $10,000. So make sure that whatever you report gives the full picture of the actual events that happened. What we've seen in this video represents what the law is all over the country. The laws in your state or city may provide even more protections than the federal laws. To find out whether your state or city offers additional protections under the law, try going to the internet and doing a web search for fair housing laws in your area. For example, if you live in Chicago, type Fair Housing Laws in Chicago. Remember, fair housing is everybody's right. Fair housing laws have been put into place to make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to housing. If you feel that you've been discriminated against, please talk to the staff at your housing authority, and they will help you.
Hi, welcome. My name is Lisa Price. I'm the Public Housing Manager here with Geauga Metropolitan Housing Authority. And today we're going to be reviewing a few questions that may not be covered in the video. And presenting those to me is Dawn Farrell. She's our Executive Director.
What's the difference between Section 8 and Housing Choice Voucher?
The Housing Choice Voucher Program is a program where you're issued a voucher and you have a certain amount of time to go out into the private sector and find housing, and then we assist with the rent payments as long as everything passes. With the Public Housing Program, we own and operate the unit